Hello SJ, saw this tweet of yours the other day and I thought I'd answer with a video because you make a hell of a lot of weird claims that need to be addressed and Twitter is just not the format to do it justice. Let's go through them one by one, shall we? First off, I would ask you to clarify by who or what you mean by some non-believers. Are you talking about atheists? Those that believe in a different religion or other versions of your God, such as Muslims or Jews? Or could you be speaking about fellow Christians who do not follow or adhere to your version of Christianity? Clarification is required, SJ. We need to know who you are addressing. Next, you mentioned something about them reducing humanity to the level of animal. Well, I hate to break it to you, Sunshine, but humans and humanity are animals. We are the Homo sapien arm of the great ape branch of the mammalian family, to be exact. Our very DNA proves this, as we share between 95 and 98.5% of our DNA with our closest known relative, the chimpanzee. Of course, people such as yourself will point out that we hairless apes are vastly different from all the other animals, as we make and use tools, develop numerous languages, and create many unique cultures, and are generally smarter than any other animal, as we can rationalize and solve problems. We also have emotions and empathy. But the facts are, we are not unique in many of these, as many other animal species have demonstrated some or all of these so-called human traits. Take crows and ravens, for instance. They have demonstrated an incredible problem-solving ability. They have demonstrated that when presented with a problem, usually getting a choice bit of food, they can analyze the situation and come up with a solution. They will even manufacture rudimentary tools to implement the solution if required. Not bad for bird brains, if you ask me. And they are not alone in this ability. Many of the great apes have also demonstrated an ability to problem solve and use tools. As for languages and culture, well, it has been long understood that orcas have unique cultures and languages, which they pass on to their offspring, much the same way we hairless apes do. I am lucky enough to live on the west coast of Canada, where we have two types of orca family groups, or pods. The residential pod, which generally stay in a specific area, and the transient pods, which travel up and down the coast in search of their preferred food sources. While they are the same species and can come across each other, they rarely, if ever, intermingle or even interbreed. And those studying them have noted that they appear to have very different languages, much the same way we humans do. And this has been observed with orca populations around the world. Each has its own unique culture and language. I will leave links in the comments section of this video for those interested in learning more about orca culture. As for emotions and empathy, the majority of the great apes and many of the lesser monkey species have demonstrated emotions and empathy among themselves, which mirror that we humans demonstrate. And this empathy can cross species lines, as demonstrated in 1996 when an 8-year-old gorilla named Binti Ju saved a 3-year-old child who fell into the gorilla enclosure. Other species such as dogs, dolphins, and even wild orcas have also demonstrated this same cross-species empathy. So when it comes to intelligence, empathy, language, culture, and emotions, we share many of these traits with other animals. And this is not all that surprising, as we ourselves are also animals, and to think otherwise is simple human vanity. Your next point is that non-believers attach a price tag on sex. In what way? You mean they are advocating prostitution or something along those lines? Who are these people that are doing that, eh? Anyways, the fact of the matter is, yes, sex comes with a price, even consensual recreational sex. That price can be in the form of money, either directly or indirectly, especially if a child results in the act. Often the price can be emotional, either in a positive or a negative manner. Or it could well be physical, such as when pregnancy results or if you contract an STD. Well, the price could well be any possible combination of any of these. And like it or not, a monetary value can be placed on any and all of them. So I'm not exactly sure what your point is. Please elaborate. Of course we elevate Satan against God. Or rather, we see both Satan and God as equals, as in they both are mythical figures that do not exist. What I find interesting is the vast majority of God botherers and Bible thumpers really have no idea of who or what Satan is or was. Satan, or rather the Satan, was more of a job position or title, and translated roughly as the accuser or the tester, as that was his role in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. Don't you find it rather odd that Satan, who supposedly rebelled against God and was cast down into hell, which you yourself have stated is the state of being denied entry into heaven and being separated from God for all eternity, was basically hanging out and chilling with God in heaven during the story of Job? God was basically bragging about how pious and faithful his servant Job was, and Satan pointed out, yeah, of course he is. After all, you, God, have blessed him with power, wealth, and happiness above all others. To which God then bet Satan that Job's faith would not waver if all that was taken away from him, and tasked Satan to test Job. God basically ordered Satan to inflict all manner of horrors upon Job, removing his wealth and power, killing off his family, and even subjecting him to crippling diseases. The one thing Satan could not do was kill Job. That was expressly forbidden by God. This story alone pretty much proves that Satan has not only not been removed from God's presence, but is still actually doing God's bidding. Later, when Jesus was in the desert for 40 days, he was tempted by Satan. Basically, he was being tested as per Satan's God-given mandate. Satan really is an agent of God in the Bible, but of course you cannot and will not see or accept that. But that is fine because both God and Satan are little more than Bronze-Age myths, just like Zeus and Odin. What the hell? They consider bestiality acceptable? What in the hell's name are you talking about, SJ? Who is saying this? Bestiality is so repugnant among the vast majority of human society and cultures that even bloody pedophiles are disgusted by it. Do you have any proof at all of your claim, or were you just going for shock value? Knowing you, I am going to have to bet that you were going for sensationalism and shock value. Of course, we put our peers who speak out against your father on a pedestal, and for very good reason. Our peers actually exist, or in some cases, existed, whereas your so-called father is just one of hundreds and thousands of gods and deities we hairless apes have dreamed up over the millennium, and like all the ones before him, does not exist, which is something you should truly be thankful for, as he is a very nasty piece of work by anybody's standards. Don't fall for such predators. SJ, you and those like you are some of the biggest predators going. You prey on the weak, the vulnerable, and children. You scoop them up, and you fill their heads with fanciful tales and lies, telling them that they are broken, sinful, dirty, and unworthy, that they deserve God's divine and eternal punishment of burning in hellfire, just for the simple crime of being born. Then you tell them that the person who's going to do this to them also loves them, and will save them from his divine and righteous wrath and punishment, but only if they submit to him totally and love him unconditionally. This is the very sick and disgusting definition of an abusive relationship, and it is one that you are doing your damnedest to perpetuate. You, SJ, you are the goddamn predator here, not those that speak out against you and your kind. Well, friends, that's all I have for today. I am still working on a couple of other scripts and should have them finished shortly. Till then, take care, and please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Ta-ta for now.